Hi, Mr. Johnson here with another Elements of Art lesson, this time on the element of form. So I hope everyone in good form follows me in. That's a good joke. Okay, so let's take a look at a video from Design Dojo that talks about the element of form and some different ways that form is used in art. Their videos are amazing. I'm so lucky that they made them, and
The
I
element of form.
and I steal them.
Form refers to 3D objects, that
Yes,
is,
it does.
objects having height, width, and depth. And like shapes, there is a range of standard forms, known as solids. These solids are the sphere,
Mhm.
cube, pyramid, cylinder, and cone. In traditional studio art, these forms are often assembled together into what is called a still life that allows artists to study the interplay of light and shadow in 3D space.
Oh,
There's even
so good.
fancy terms to describe the quality of light on these forms, including the highlight, transition, core shadow, reflected light, umbra, and penumbra.
I've literally
And by
never heard anyone
deconstructing complex
say
forms
penumbra
into these
in my
solids,
life.
artists can learn to depict anything the eye can see. And that is why the element of form is an essential element of art.
All right, so this is a really, really short video because form is a really difficult art element to talk about. Um, this is for a few reasons. So the main concepts here, absolutely awesome. Form is a shape that has height, width, and depth, right? It's a three-dimensional shape. So if you take the element of shape, you make it 3D, now you have a form. Super easy to understand, right? So a square is a shape, but a cube is a form. A circle is a shape, a sphere or a ball is a form. A triangle is a shape, a pyramid is a form. However, there are actual forms, right? Real three-dimensional forms. Those are used in sculpture or any 3D object, right? If you buy a globe at a store, that is a sphere. That's a real form. Even a lamp, right? That I was looking. I'm seeing one on the set. You can't see it. I'm pointing to it, but that doesn't help you. There's a lamp on the table to my side, and it's made up all out of forms. So even though they're not geometric forms, they're odd shapes, but the body of the lamp is a three-dimensional shape that makes it a form. In drawing and painting, we simulate the look of forms because all of the actual drawings and paintings are flat. So they're not really three-dimensional on a paper or on a canvas, but we make them appear to be three-dimensional by adding lighting and shading. So let's talk about some ways that we can do that. So, right, again, here is this really, really simple paper. I found this online. It looks like it was, done by a 6-year-old, but you get the idea. It accomplishes, right, the goal. So the shape is the flat version. The form is the 3D version. And look at how just by adding shading, even loose, messy, scribbled shading, creates the illusion of form. So you get from this just outlined white box, by shading one side really dark, the top a medium gray, and adding the shadow on the side, it's now very 3D. You take, right, the same triangle, you shade it, it becomes a cone shape. Same thing with this circle, it becomes a rounded sphere with a form. So even bad shading helps. Please don't do bad shading. But I want to show you, right, how quickly, how simply you can create the illusion of three-dimensional objects. So, how to shade basic forms. There are a few key things that you need. The first one is a light source. Now, obviously, you can't add a spotlight or sunlight onto your drawing because it's flat, it's a piece of paper. So what you need to do is decide where the light is coming from. Right? Imagine that you're holding a lamp and you can move it around the space of your picture. The highlights are always facing the light source and the shadows are always on the opposite side. So, like Dora the Explorer would say, in these examples, where's the light coming from? That's right, the right side. So the light is all coming from up here on the right. It's hitting the objects. If you look at the cube, and the light is coming from up here on the right. Its darkest side is on the left, and its cast shadow goes to the left. For the sphere, the highlight is on the upper right. The light's coming from the upper right, beams down, cast the shadow underneath it. For the pyramid, the light's coming from the right, the left side is the darkest, shadows on the left. Same thing for the cylinder and the cone. The light's coming from the right side, all right, and the shadow is on the left. So then you want to talk about shadows. Now, shadows on an object show what side is farther away from the light. So if I hold my hand up like this, right in front of my face, you can see that most of the light is coming from this side because the hand is shadowed, right, on the back. That means that my light source is off to one side. So it's easy to see that because you can tell what direction the light's coming from. So shadows on the sphere here, on the box, on the pyramid, the cone, and the cylinder all show us what side is facing away from the light. The cast shadow is the shape that that object makes by blocking the light from hitting the ground. So you've been walking outside and you see your shadow on the ground, right? That is your shape that is blocking the sunlight. So you're getting that shape cast on the ground. That's what a cast shadow does. So a cast shadow from the pyramid is going to be triangular. A cast shadow from the box is going to be more square. A cast shadow from the sphere is going to be rounder because that object is blocking the light, so that same shape is what's cast on the ground. And then highlights show us where the lightest, brightest part of the object is. So for the sphere, that's the top right, right? You can see that the light is bouncing off of it right there. It's the lightest part of the object. So let's take a look at a couple of these. I love these. All the light sources are all different. So make sure in these drawings you can identify where the light source is. But on this sphere, it's coming from the top left. The light is coming this way. This is the highlight. This is the shadow. This is the cast shadow. But on this box, the light is coming from up here. Right, the top is actually the lightest part. And the dark side is down here with the shadow and the cast shadow. For this cone, the light source is coming in from the right, making the highlight on the left. I know my directions. The light source is coming from the left, making the left side the highlight, the right side in shadow, and then the cast shadow off to the right. One of the other ways to make these forms really look 3D, it's a great simple art trick, it's to shade the background behind it. So take a look at these objects. The artist is drawing a line behind them. Maybe it's a tabletop, a surface that they are sitting on. That surface is white, but the background behind it is dark. That helps create the illusion of depth, which makes it look like these forms are sitting on something. Right? If they're 3D, they need to be in a 3D space. The artist does that really well here. So let's take a look at some fine art examples of people who use form really, really well in a wide variety of ways. So this is a drawing called Peaches by one of my favorite current artists named Janet Fish. And the forms here are amazing. She makes it look like these peaches are wrapped in plastic wrap, like you might buy them on a carton from a grocery store. But using these highlights, shadows, and cast shadows underneath, she creates the illusion that they are three-dimensional. Right? I think that's really, really awesome. She's such a cool artist. If you like realistic art, really, really fun art, bright colors, or food, take a look at more of her work. Now this is the bust of Nefertiti by ancient Egyptian sculptor Thutmose. And Nefertiti was the wife of the pharaoh Akhenaten, and Thutmose created this sculpture of her head and neck. And this is an actual form. This is really a three-dimensional object. It's carved out of wood, and you can see that he has actual three-dimensional shapes here. So the nose, sticks off the surface. The head moves back in space. This huge headdress, right, is this big kind of upside-down cone shape on top, a long cylinder, right, for the neck. So this uses real forms. But it also, because the light is hitting on it, it has shadows and highlights, right? The chin here casts a shadow on the neck underneath of it. So even real three-dimensional forms have those highlights and shadows and cast shadows. You could tell in this image that the light source is coming from the upper left because it is lighter, right, on the top left side, and it's darker on the right side. And then, I'm going to shrink myself here. This is called Bond of Union by M.C. Escher, and this is a great illusion of form done on a flat drawing. So here, all of these circles look three-dimensional, and he does that by overlapping them, by changing their size. Like the larger ones appear to be closer to us, and the smaller ones appear to be farther away. And each of them has this highlight, right, and the shaded area, the shadow. You can tell where the light's coming from. Look at how the ones you're very close to the subject have a cast shadow on it. And just this cut-up spiral is beautiful. And look how he makes the spiraled faces appear to be three-dimensional forms. He gives the illusion of depth here and then shades the inside of them. So it looks like that the top layer of the spiral is casting a shadow onto the back part of the spiral. So that cast shadow is what really helps create the illusion of 3D space. Escher is amazing at these shaded forms. He's one of the masters at it. So if you like work like this, and this is just cool, check more of his work out online. So your drawing task for the element of form is to practice drawing the illusions of form on all 6 objects that you see on the screen. That is a sphere, a cylinder, a cube, a cone, a pyramid, and a triangular prism. Try matching the shading as best as you can. Use your drawing pencil and blending stump. Now, I love that the top ones have also shaded, right, the background. They've included the edge here of a surface and the background. I think that creates a much better illusion than the bottom 3 that don't have that. So I would recommend including that line for the edge of a surface and a little bit of shading in the background, because I think the difference in making it a 3-dimensional form is really, really awesome. So try this in your sketchbook. If you need help, you can flip back through this video to see some of the other examples. There are great ones. Make sure you're including a highlight, a shadow, and a cast shadow, and think about where that light source is coming from. We'll be back with more videos very soon. Choo-choo!